the stock market, meaning companies, new highs.
I'm not fucking leaving. The show goes on. Nuts. They're nuts. They know nothing.
An online network called Internet.
Well, it's very hip to be on the internet right now.
Welcome to Market Mania, boys and girls. That's right, bitches. It's the first. I am your humble host today. So you know things are going to be moving fast. So try to keep up, boys. Today we have a special guest, my good friend and cult leader, Mark Herm. Happy to have him on. Today we got earnings to watch. Coinbase exec sell. You all know about that. That was big on Twitter this weekend. You got the BTC and alts big dive. And you also got the Tesla car crash, which caused Tesla to get crushed. Let's get right into that one. So Tesla down, $27 now, was down 40. You guys saw this. Brett, what did you think about this crash? How do you think the car catching on fire? You think somebody was driving? What's up with this?
So my initial theory was like there was a third person who was fucked up, crashed it, ran off, left his buddies burning in the car. But apparently these two guys were with their wives right before they said they were going to take the Tesla out. It would be really hard for this mysterious third person to just hop in. So maybe they somehow set the autopilot. Like, I don't. You guys have Teslas. Could I be driving, put autopilot on, and then just hop over to the other seat?
Mark, you have a $125,000 Tesla Model X white with white interior. What how does it work? Like, how could you drive here without being in the car?
No, it seems like it actually happened to me once when I was stuck in the snow. I was trying to impress my kid by jettisoning across my front lawn in like 2 feet of snow, and I got stuck. And then the car ended up staying on while I was in reverse. But it's extremely hard, I think, to have the car continue to go when you're not in it. So it seems far-fetched.
These guys were driving. They were in the car driving, like at a speed where you couldn't just get out of the car. They didn't stop. They were driving, and then the car crashed and caught fire. What do we think this is a real condemnation on Tesla technology or the stock? Or we think it's over?
No, I don't. I mean, Tesla's, there's too much going for it. This is mysterious. It's weird. I would like more evidence. I would like to see, I don't want to see, but if I were to condemn Tesla, I would like to see more examples of this happening. It just seems really weird.
So I don't know if you guys remember, you guys weren't really trading actively in the market maybe like 4 or 5 years ago, but every month it seemed like there was another Tesla news story of a car catching on fire. They were all kind of like one-offs, but every time it happened, the stock got destroyed. But over time, it just became clear that Tesla is just so much safer than every other car on the market. And if you look at the stats, it's like, I don't know the exact figures, but say like a Toyota gets in an accident every 2,000 miles on average, and then you look at like Tesla gets in an accident once every 10,000 miles on average. So it's clear from everything, all the data, that Tesla's the safest car. So I think this sell-off's overdone. Plus, you got Tesla earnings next Monday, so I wouldn't be surprised to see this stock turn around today. So let's get into Bitcoin. So you guys know Bitcoin this weekend got destroyed on some FUD. Mark, you know a lot about this. You follow Bitcoin more than anyone I know.
I mean the FUD. I mean it was a kind of a serious deal. It's been bought back pretty solidly. My take on the whole space, though, regardless of this FUD, is just like I was looking at it yesterday. There's 92 coins that have over $1 billion market cap.
Insane.
And there's 17 coins that have over a $10 billion market cap. Like looking at that, it just makes me want to shit my pants. Like it's scary, like these prices have to be overinflated to a degree. I mean, obviously it could triple from here. Everything could triple, but I don't know. It's scary to me. Like I reduced my alt exposure massively.
Fun fact: how many of those top 100 coins do you have at least one coin of?
Fuck, man. So I got all these old wilds. Probably 20 is my guess.
That's it. Okay, I would have said higher. And Brett, what do you think about this market cap of all these coins?
I agree with Mark. I think like it's one of those things. There's a few that are probably going to exceed the valuations here, probably by quite a bit, and there's a lot that are going to get hammered. I think one thing that's interesting about Bitcoin, and this applies to a fair amount of the alts, people are really like kind of all in and over leveraged. Like the bulls, like people are like, oh, buy the dip. A lot of people, they don't have any more money to buy the dip. They're already all in. And you can see these cascading liquidations like happened over the weekend where the price can swing dramatically to the downside when the levered longs are just getting liquidated, and there's not just people with a ton of ammo on the sidelines looking to get in. So it's a volatile place. But again, like some of these, like Filecoin, for example, I'm not a fan at all. If you look, a lot of these play the like fully diluted supply trick where they release like 2% or some bullshit, and then people just trade that as if it's the market cap, and then they're holding 98% back. I think Filecoin fully diluted valuation is like higher than Ethereum, or it's around Ethereum's right now, but it's only 17 because of this trick they're playing. I saw a stat on Twitter this weekend that said over 1 million different accounts got liquidated between like FTX, Binance, BitMEX, all those exchanges this weekend. Over 1 million separate accounts. It was like some obscene $12 billion number or something like that of actual liquidations, which is really sounds to me like sort of like a bubble pop. It's great to see that the coin stabilized, Bitcoin for sure stabilized, but the amount of leverage in the system has to be down a ton right now, and those kind of people that got liquidated aren't necessarily likely to jump back in right away. So I could see for Bitcoin drifting down, to like 50, 45K before people start, jumping in like they were before. I mean, these are already very volatile assets. So if you add leverage to the mix, unless you really, really, really know what you're doing, which you probably don't, you're just gambling. Yeah, in the long run, having less leverage in the system's positive, right? But in the short run, as it pops, that leverage gets everybody gets delevered, liquidated. It pops. It's sort of like a bear signal for me. So I wouldn't be, if I was trading, I'm not talking about long term. Bitcoin's great long term, but if I was trading it, I might be trading it on the short side right now, which I don't have any position as far as a trade. But let's get into the Coinbase guys. They did a direct listing last week. Stock crushed. I think it's like 332 now. Opened at 380. But on day one, the CFO, the chief accounting officer, the chief marketing officer, all dumped a lot of stock. Even the CEO dumped a lot of stock. They weren't huge overall net percentage position of their entire positions, but a bunch of them did sell 100% or close to 100% of their vested shares, which means basically they sold all they could. Brett, do you think that this stock's a place where you'd want to be buying it? Yeah, I think it's a reasonable buy. I think there's a lot of like FUD around these sales also. I know one of like the C-suite execs did sell like a third of her total shares, I believe, but Brian Armstrong sold like less than 2%. And another thing I saw is there's potentially some tax implications on your vested stock. So you need to sell some to pay some of your tax bill because you really don't want to be paying tax on like these extreme, like where are you going to come up with this money, right? If you don't sell Coinbase stock, it's an insane amount of money. It's like a $80 billion company or something. So I think there's a fair amount of FUD there. But yeah, I think it's a reasonable buy, but there's a lot of competition. They have that retail footprint in the US, though. They're giving out $1 billion or something in Bitcoin to celebrate. So if you don't have a Coinbase account, it's worth signing up for that. Yeah. Mark, did you buy any of this stock?
Fuck Coinbase. I have nothing to do with I would want nothing to do with Coinbase. I'm big on I'm a Sam disciple. So I like FTT. If I wouldn't touch a lot of it, honestly. Like I just wouldn't. I'm really not like anxious to like be like really in a lot of stuff. Like I'm super big on FTT, and I sold a lot of my tokens over the weekend. Right. I'm bullish on it long term, but I just still feel like, obviously I could be wrong. I just feel like everything is really overinflated. So I'm kind of just being cautious. I think we're on the same page there. So I see Tony's in there. Welcome to the show, Tony, the producer. You got some earnings for us to talk about?
I do, but I want to ask Mark real quick. Are you planning on getting back in FTT, or are you just done with that token?
No, I'm definitely not done. I still have a base position, and I will definitely be buying more on dips. And hopefully I'm just wrong, and it just goes straight to the moon. But no, I'll be there. Like it'll be, I plan on holding Bitcoin, Ethereum, FTT, and probably Solana. Those would be my four.
Right.
So you got a lot of earnings this week, Tony. Which ones are you looking at?
That's right. We got some big ones coming up. Coca-Cola is the first one I'm looking at. They've been called Woca-Cola as of recently after a big kind of woke marketing campaign started to blow up in their face. The CEO came out recently and tried to walk back some of those statements, trying to find, quote, common ground. But I think the earnings will tell the tale. Now, I typically don't think that like brand boycotts work or do much to change culture, but I guess we will see how Coca-Cola responds coming up. Well, I guess it was before open, so I haven't even checked out what their earnings are, but I got to look at that. Tomorrow, Johnson & Johnson, they just had their vaccine paused because of blood clotting issues, so we'll take a look at that. Netflix is always interesting. You'll be talking about Chipotle in a little bit, but that's always a good one. I'd like to hear your thoughts on that, Matt. And then I've got my eye on American Express. I've got some calls on that one. So all in all, I think this will be an interesting week for earnings. Anything you guys are looking at on this chart here? Anything pop out at you?
Johnson & Johnson, man. I'm really curious, given the government shutting down their vaccine. I feel there's more to that story than like 1 in a million people had some side effect that's like way more common in birth control drugs and other drugs. I think there's got to be more to it. Although if the government's just extremely incompetent, that won't surprise me. So I guess it could go either way, but I would like to know what's going on there.
Yeah, so Chipotle's big for me, and also Spirit and Southwest, the 2 airlines. See what they have to say this week. It'll tell a lot about the reopening plays at least.
Yep, could be good. I think ultimately over the next few months here, we'll see the stock market continue to rise across all fronts. But there's that phrase, sell in May and go away. So that's coming up here too. We might have a bit of a slump heading into quarter 2. But let's get to our pick of the day.
By, Tony. We're going to the picks of the day.
Yes, sir. I just got to pull it up here. 1 second. So many buttons. What's that, Matt?
Let's get some music rolling for picks of the day and get that started.
Here we go. In 3, 2. Oh my God, it's happening.
All right, not investment advice. What do you got for us, Brett Ritchie?
I'm rolling with DraftKings, DKNG. It has been dropping a bit lately. The New York looks like they're probably opening up. Now the Texas Rangers say to the governor of Texas, we need sports betting or we're going to die. If some of these big states get in the mix, DraftKings is really well positioned from a market share standpoint. They're losing money. They're still outsourcing risk management to like very timid overseas European operators. But I don't think the U.S. landscape is going to be just like anyone with a pulse can't play forever. And DraftKings has one of the better data operations that could actually end up taking some of the sharper action. So I like buying this. All
right. And Mark, Lost Mind Herm, what do you got for
Uranium. This is obviously this is a Dan pick. This is my buddy Dan Harmers, who's very fucking sharp. I know nothing about this shit, but he said uranium, the world's going green, like it or not. And this is probably a boring, he said, 5-year long play. And he's right. He's right a lot. He's right a lot.
So uranium ETF, that's the nuclear power. That's what it's all about, is uranium.
Right.
Nice. And my pick of the day is Chipotle. As Tony mentioned before, Chipotle has earnings Wednesday. I see them crushing. Lockdown or no lockdown, it doesn't matter. Chipotle just keeps crushing. I don't know anyone that's not there. Every time I go into a different Chipotle, there's a line of DoorDash guys just waiting to pick up food for people at home. It's an amazing company. They just have a niche where no one can compete with them. So I think they're going to crush on Wednesday. I just bought some today. I'm going to hold it throughout the week. And now, I think that we're going to end the show on that note. I hear the music Tony's playing. So as Micon would usually say in this spot, we will see you tomorrow, if there is a tomorrow. But for now, it's lights out.
No rap quote.
I never sleep if I don't have my medicine. I never sleep if I don't have my medicine. I never sleep if I don't have. I never sleep. I never sleep if I don't have my medicine. Time to right the wrong. So your hands in the air if you like the song. If you're going over there, take it twice as long. Last time ain't talking about Tylenol. Oh, I bet you'd like to know. You can come around the way if you're trying to go. If you want to switch lanes for a pot of gold or a domino, out of control. The usual. Get mad cause I'm looking at your girl. Switch switch it up.
I do it so much louder than everything you've heard. Everybody heard, got the word that the world wasn't turning. Act like you're in a jury, however turn it where I would turn it. Can't lie like it's Mississippi burning. Don't act like you're in a daze. I imagine should've looked the other way. Couldn't clear space on my mind, was afraid of the time. Strobe light like in the moonlight. I'm in the mood right now, how about tonight? My interview's tight now, I was surviving.